morning, everybody. We're running a few minutes late. I had to print off a couple of copies of our quiz. I hope everybody had an opportunity to finish up. So this morning, before we kick off our next Bible study, we're going to be going over our review. So, like I said, I hope everybody has their review. Is there anybody here this morning that doesn't have a copy of the review?
Me.
Okay. All right. You gonna share? Emal? You gonna share with Linda? You got your quiz?
Yeah, we can share.
All right.
She likes me.
Jack, somebody start us off, please.
Dear Lord, we thank you for this Sunday morning that you've given to us. You allowed us safe travels to this meeting place that we could come together and become one and to worship you in spirit and in truth, Lord. Lord, as we take some time to study your word and go over these things that we've talked about in Leviticus, help us to have a good remembrance of all the things we've talked about today and throughout our lives so that we can remember them and to teach others and to make all the applications possible throughout our lives from this topic, Lord. Lord, we thank you for Jesus and his death on the cross for us, Lord, and we thank you for all the many blessings that we've had. Lord, please be with us. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. So the plan next week, the Carmack family is going to be out of town next week. I already talked to Brother Will. Next Sunday, he's going to continue his study, his Wednesday evening study. He's also going to continue it on Sunday as well. The Sunday after next, I had planned to start a different lesson. We've been going through the Old Testament. I've been getting various feedback, on what direction we should go. Have another lesson series that will go for maybe 2 quarters, or we can also continue with the Book of Numbers. If you would just give me some feedback on what direction you'd like to go. Would you like to take a break from our Old Testament study something else for a little while before we get back into Numbers? I'm open for that. So like I said, just give me some feedback and let me know. And of course, I know I'm going to get various feedback. I'm not going to be able to please everybody, but I'm going to try to do my best to do most and try to go over some things that would be beneficial to us, that would be edifying to us, and I hope this study in the Old Testament has been beneficial and edifying. There's been a lot that we have covered in the book of Leviticus, a lot of technical things, and so I'm hoping that over the past year when we've been studying this book, these questions was a good reminder of the things that we've gone over, certainly in the first several chapters, talking about the various offerings and sacrifices. And so this quiz that we took was designed to jog our memory on these things. It was an open book quiz for anybody that was not here last week. And so like I said, we're just going to go over it once again. I'm not going to ask anybody to hand your quizzes over to your neighbor or anything like that. This is just an exercise to jog our memory. So let's take a look at these questions here. I think there was like 108 questions in this review. I'm hoping that most of them were you just knew by looking at the answers. So the stated purpose of the burnt offerings in Leviticus 1. What would be the stated purpose of A, B, and C? What's that? C, to make an atonement for the offerer. Absolutely. So from the herd, which animal might be brought for a burnt offering? C, correct. A male without defect. Who sprinkles the blood of the burnt offering around on the altar? C. Aaron, yes, Aaron and his sons, the priests. You can reference, of course, Leviticus chapter 1, verse 5. If a bird is offered for a burnt offering, which kinds are permitted? B. Turtle doves or young pigeons. That's right. Verse 14 of chapter 1. All right, chapter 2. So you can see I just picked a few questions from each chapter. What basic elements accompany a grain offering? A. Yes. Fine flour mixed with oil and frankincense. At the first verse of that chapter. Which substance is specifically forbidden in any grain offering made by fire? B. Leaven. Yep. Yeah. No grain offering which you bring to the Lord shall be made with leaven. Very good. What must season every grain offering as a sign of the covenant? Salt. That's right. Verse 13. Every grain offering of yours, moreover, you shall season with salt. Verse 13. A grain offering of first fruits may be presented as roasted heads of new grain with what added? B. Oil and frankincense. Good. Chapter 3. A peace offering from the herd or flock must be what? What was that? C. Male or female, without defect. So what part is burned as food, a soothing aroma to the Lord in the peace offerings? C, the fat portions. So, yeah. What perpetual statute is stated regarding the fat and the blood?
C, they may not eat it.
Okay. They may not eat it. What? Okay, we understand the blood. Why not the fat?
What was the answer? C.
What's that?
Fat or blood.
It's A. We need fat, not blood.
Verse 17. Chapter 3. Verse 17 of chapter 3. What it is, it's a perpetual statute. You are not to eat any fat or any blood. Number 3 is C. Number 4. Which parts are specifically listed among the fat to be burned? A, the tail, the fat covering the entrails and the kidneys. Chapter 4. The sin offering in Leviticus 4 is for sins committed how? Unintentionally. Unintentionally, yeah. You know, when you talk about intentional and unintentional sin, you might reference Hebrews chapter 10, verses 26 and 27. If the anointed priest sins, what animal is required for his sin offering? C, correct. A bull without defect, verse 3. Where is the priest to put some of the blood of the bull of the sin offering? B, yes. On the horns of the altar of fragrant incense before the Lord. For a common person who sins unintentionally, which offering may be brought? B, correct. Female goat without defect. Chapter 5. When a person becomes guilty, what must he do regarding his sin? B. Confess that which he has sinned. So if he cannot afford a lamb or goats, what may he bring as a sin offering? A. That's correct. Very good. Fine flour without oil or frankincense. For misusing holy things of the Lord, what offering is required? B. A guilt offering, yes. Ram Sins committed unintentionally against the Lord's commandments still require what?
A guilt. C.
Huh?
C.
Yes, C, a guilt offering and restitution. Okay? How did everybody do throughout this quiz?
I just missed quite a few.
Yes, sir. One?
No, in that question four, it was a little confusing for me because, I was looking through the New King James and it uses trespass instead of guilt, so.
Yeah.
That threw me off there.
Yes.
So I looked
Yes.
up.
When one sins by deceiving a neighbor in a matter of deposit or theft, he must do what?
B.
B. Restore it in full and add 20%.
Attack.
Right?
Is that right?
B. The burnt offering is to remain on the hearth of the altar. How long?
B.
B. Yes, all night until the morning, and the fire must be kept burning. The remainder of the grain offering belongs to whom and is eaten how?
B.
B. To Aaron and his sons, eaten unleavened in a holy place. The sin offering is most holy. Where must it be eaten?
D. Not at all. Oh, no.
If its blood is not brought into the tent.
B.
B. Yes. Yes, you could reference verse 26 for that in Leviticus 6. Chapter 7. The law of the guilt offering states that it is what? A. It is most holy. It is most holy. A thank offering, or we've talked about the difference between the thank offering, the peace offering, the Thanksgiving, must be eaten when? Yes, A, on the same day that it is offered. Reference verse 15. Which portion of the peace offerings belong to the priests?
B.
B. That's the wave offering and the right thigh, the heave offering. Eating fat or blood is prohibited for whom and for how long?
B.
Yes, for everybody. For everybody. Those things belong unto the Lord. B. It is B. At the consecration, what was done to Aaron and his sons before their vesting, before they were donned with the holy garments? B. And of course, this chapter moves on from the subject of the different offerings. The five offerings, the five various offerings. Sister Jessica, will you be able to tell me?
The burnt offering, sin offering, guilt offering, grain offering, and hold on. Sin, burnt, guilt, grain, trespass. No. Thanks, Steve.
Peace offering.
Peace offering.
The one that's to be shared by the offerer
Right.
with the priests.
What's the answer to two?
We hadn't gotten to there yet, but now we are there. With what was the tabernacle and its furnished anointed? C, the anointing oil. On whose right ear, right thumb, and right big toe was blood placed during the ordination? C, Aaron and his sons. This is the priesthood, the ordination of the priesthood. How long were Aaron and his sons to remain at the doorway of the tent after consecration? B, 7 days and nights. That's right. Chapter 9. On the 8th day, when Aaron offered sacrifices, what happened that confirmed confirmed the Lord's glory.
C,
Huh?
See.
See, fire came out from before the Lord and consumed the offering. That's right. Before Aaron blessed the people, he offered a sin offering and a burnt offering for himself and for whom?
C,
See, all the people. All the people. You can reference verse 7 and 15, Leviticus 9. What did the people do when they saw the fire from the Lord consume the offering?
B,
B, they shouted and fell on their faces. That's right. Verse 24. Which animals were offered in the inaugural service? C, calves, goats, lambs, and an ox. And a ram. Now, of course, your translation might say something else concerning the animals, but C would be the closest answer there. Chapter 10. What unauthorized act did Nadab and Abihu commit? Okay, so this is one of the two areas in the book of Leviticus when it gives a historic account instead of just the handing of the law, what the details of the law were. This is concerning something that had happened that this book records for us. And what unauthorized act did Nadab and Abihu commit?
they burned them on fire.
Yeah, they brought that strange fire before the Lord, which he had not commanded. And what immediate consequence happened to Nadab and Abihu because of what they did?
They were burnt up, killed.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Fire came out from before the Lord and consumed them. What restriction was given to Aaron and his sons about wine and strong drink?
Don't do it.
Yes.
Say no.
Yes.
What was it?
B. Why did Moses approve Aaron's decision not to eat the people's sin offering on that day? Remember that account? And Moses got very angry because that's what the priesthood was supposed to do. That was their participation in the offering, in the sin offerings. And Aaron didn't eat it. Why?
B,
B, because Aaron was grieving, and he judged it an inappropriate thing to do. Chapter 11. Which animals are clean to eat according to Leviticus 11? Remember, it was Leviticus 11 that we started talking about the laws concerning the Israelite diet, the things that they could eat, the things that they were to abstain from, the unclean things. What's that?
B,
B. Those that both chew the cud and have a divided hoof. Now remember, we talked about the different animals, different animals that might fit one of those qualifications, but not the other. So the ones that they could eat must fit both of these qualifications, both chew the cud and have a divided hoof. Fish might be eaten if they have what? A. Fins and scales. Which of the following is specifically unclean to eat? C. Pigs. That's right. It's almost like in this chapter, it's giving an example of what not to eat. Of course, underscoring the fact that these animals must fit both qualifications. Contact with dead animals results in what? B. Uncleanness until evening. Chapter 12. This is kind of a difficult chapter that we had talked about concerning mothers and ceremonial uncleanness. After bearing a male child, how long is the mother ceremonially unclean? A. 7 days, and then a 33-day purification. After bearing a female child, the total period of blood purification is what?
B,
66 days? Yep.
what's the answer?
B. At the end of her purification, congregation, what offerings does the mother bring?
C.
What was that?
I wrote C.
C, yes. A burnt offering and a sin offering. If she cannot afford a lamb, what might she offer instead?
A.
A, 2 turtle doves or 2 pigeons. Verse 13. Verse 13, we got into the section of Leviticus that talks about the subject of leprosy. How it is that a person is unclean because of these things, what a priest is to look for concerning the symptoms, and what is to be done with that individual. So who examines a priest for skin leprosy? C, the priest. That's right. A person suspected of infection may be shut up for observation. For how long initially?
B.
For 7 days. A person declared unclean with leprosy must cry out what? A. Unclean. A leprous contamination can also infect what? B. Garments of wool or linen and leather. Yeah. And we talked about leprosy in the form of skin infection. We also talked about leprosy in the form of mildew and mold. Chapter 14. For the cleansing of a person healed of leprosy, which living creatures are used first? B. Yes, 2 turtle doves or 2 pigeons. and why the 2? What? First off, which items accompany the live bird in the cleansing rite? A. That's right. Scarlet wood and hyssop. And what happened to the birds? Anybody remembers?
One was killed and one was set free.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. Yes. Very good. On the 7th day of cleansing, the person must do what? B. Yes. Shave all his hair, wash his clothes, and bathe. What may be done for the poor on the 8th day of offerings? B. Yes. They bring lesser animals, birds as provided. So we can see that, as far as the other offerings as well. If somebody is too poor that they can't offer what has been prescribed, God is prescribing other animals that can be offered, animals of lesser value. This just goes to show God in God's law His provision for even the poor to participate in the sacrificial system. Chapter 15. A man with a discharge is unclean and renders what he touches what? C. Unclean. Unclean until evening. A man who has an emission of semen is unclean until when? B. Evening, after washing. And a woman during her menstrual impurity is unclean for how long? A. 7 days. How's everybody been doing so far? Get most of them right? Okay, good deal. At the end of a discharge period, what is brought on the 8th day? A. Correct. 2 turtle doves or 2 pigeons for atonement. What's that?
I said a partridge in a pear tree. Sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. So, on the Day of Atonement, how many goats are taken from the congregation for a sin offering?
B.
2. That's correct.
I wasn't sure about that one. So halfway through, I decided I'm just going to answer them and then decide.
Yeah.
If I'm going to be right or wrong today. So.
Yeah, and you can reference verse 5 and 7 through 8. Leviticus 16.
So what's the answer?
B. 2. What is done with the live goat or the scapegoat? B. It's released into the wilderness bearing Israel's sins. That's right. You remember what the deal was with the scapegoat?
Pardon?
With the scapegoat. What happened with the scapegoat?
They had to lay their hands on and put their sin on the scapegoat, and the person had to take it into
Yes.
Raziel released it, and then he had to come back and wash and wait until he was clean again before he could come back into camp, and, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
It was a lot.
Yeah, that's right. It's a scapegoat. In our modern vernacular, when we're talking about a scapegoat, what are we normally referring to?
A guilty one.
What's that?
The guilty one.
The guilty one? Is that true or?
Taking
The one
the
that's made
blame.
to take the blame.
Taking
Yeah.
the
So
blame.
that person that's thrown under the bus, so to speak.
Taking the blame.
Right. He's taking the blame. He's taking the sins, the wrongdoing for somebody else. That's put on him. The scapegoat. And that's in our modern vernacular. That's what this is from. What must the high priest bring inside the veil before the mercy seat? B. Incense, so the cloud may cover the mercy seat. And how often is this atonement statute to be observed? Annually. Yeah. Okay. So remember that this is talking about this Day of Atonement offering. It's to be done annually. Okay. So now that we're getting into chapter 17, this should be stuff that's more fresh in our memory. Where must Israel bring their sacrifices so as not to offer them in the open field? A. All right, before the Lord at the tent of meeting. That's right, and you can reference verses 3 through 5 in Leviticus 17. We talked about the fact that the Israelites were not to eat the fat, the fat of animals, nor the blood. But why is the eating of blood forbidden? B. Right. The life of the flesh is in the blood, and it's given for atonement on the altar. How about an animal that is found dead out in the field, found dead, torn by beasts, if an individual eats it? C. He shall wash his clothes and bathe and be unclean until evening. Offering sacrifices to goat demons is described as what? D is described as harlotry. Verse 7, they should no longer sacrifice their sacrifices to the goat demons with which they play the harlot. Leviticus chapter 18. In chapter 18, we started talking about lawful and unlawful relationships. Leviticus 18 prohibits the uncovering the nakedness of what? B. Close relatives. Close relatives, near of kin. Verse 6, none of you shall approach any blood relative of his to uncover nakedness. So what abhorrent practice is forbidden in Leviticus 18 related to children? C. Giving the offspring to Molech. We described in detail about the practice of the Canaanites and how they would offer their children by fire to this god Molech. What sexual act is an abomination in this chapter? C. Homosexual relations. Verse 22. And what is said about bestiality? B. It's forbidden and defiles the land. Nor shall any woman stand before an animal to mate with it. Do not defile yourselves, for by all these the nations which I am casting have become defiled. Which implies what about the Canaanites? That they may be participating in these practices too?
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Chapter 19. Israel is commanded, "You shall be holy, for I, the Lord your God, am holy," and to leave gleanings for what?
See,
Seed, the poor and the stranger. Poor and a stranger. We referenced Naomi and Ruth when we talked about this law. Which command appears in Leviticus 19, verse 18?
be,
B. Love your neighbor as yourself. Love your neighbor as yourself. One of the greatest of the commandments. And which of the following is forbidden in Leviticus chapter 19? A. Stealing, lying, and dealing falsely. What practice with different kinds is prohibited as symbolic separation? A. Sowing mixed seed, wearing garments of mixed material. And we talked about both the practical and the spiritual reasoning for this law. What penalty is prescribed for giving one's offspring to Molech? C. Death by stoning. Verse 2. Many sexual sins in Leviticus 20 carry what consequence? C. Death or being cut off. Yeah. It just verses 10 through 21. And Israel is called to be holy and separated from the nations. Why? C. Because the Lord has separated them to be His. You know, you can reference verse 24 and 26. I am the Lord your God who has separated you from the people. You shall be holy to me, for I, the Lord, am holy, and have separated you. Why? To be mine. To be mine. Turning to mediums and spiritists result in what? B. Being unclean and cut off. We talked about the activities of Saul, singing a certain individual from Endor. Chapter 21. A regular priest. Now, we talked about the difference between the one high priest and all the other priests. A regular priest, or the sons of Aaron, might defile him for which dead relative? C. For his nearest of kin. The high priest must not do which of the following? C. Tear his clothes or defile himself for the dead. Yeah. Whom may the high priest marry? C. A virgin of his own people. That's right. Leviticus 21 verses 13 to 14. What restriction is placed on the priest with physical defects? Did I hear B? B, yes, it is B. It is B. Verses 21 through 22. No man who has a defect is to approach to offer the offerings. He may eat the bread of his God, but he shall not go into the veil nor come near the altar. Does that mean that these priests are completely useless? No. There's just certain things that they can't do, right? All the other things are open to them as what has been given to the priesthood, but there is a list of things that they're not allowed to do. Chapter 22. Who may eat of the holy gifts or the holy things? B. Only the priests and certain number of their households. I was just thinking that might be a good sermon subject. Offerings presented to the Lord must be what? A. Without defect, to be accepted. Verse 20. A newborn ox, sheep, or goat must remain with its mother how long before being acceptable as an offering? B. For 7 days. For 7 days it shall remain with its mother, and on the 8th day on it will be accepted. What attitude is commanded when offering sacrifices? C. Be acceptable willingly. Which day is set apart weekly as a holy convocation? B. The Sabbath, the 7th day. And Passover is observed on which day of the first month? B. The 14th at twilight. Verse 5. The Feast of Weeks otherwise known as Pentecost, is celebrated by counting what? B. 7 weeks from the day after the Sabbath. During the Feast of Tabernacles, or the Feast of Booths, Israel was to do what? B. Dwell in booths and rejoice before the Lord. Chapter 24, what fuel was commanded for the lamp to burn continually? B. Clear oil from beaten olives. From beaten olives, not crushed olives. If anybody remembers the sermon that we did about the subject of keeping your lamps burning, what was the difference between the beaten olives and the crushed olives? Is there a reason for God's regulation concerning the beaten olives?
There's less impurities in it.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And of course, there's a couple of reasons. Of those olives, the olives that were used were not fully ripened. These were called first fruit olives. It was a process to manufacture this clear olive oil, this virgin olive oil, and it took a lot more effort, and you actually get less out of it than with crushed olives. But does God care about efficiency, or does He care about purity in the offering? We talked quite a bit about that. How many loaves were placed on the table of showbread each Sabbath? C. 12. 12 cakes. What was the penalty for blaspheming the name of the Lord? C. Stoning by the congregation. The civil principle stated in Leviticus 24 for injuries is what? B. Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. Reference verses 19 through 20. Every 7th year, the land was to observe what? Every 7th year? A Sabbath rest, right? We talked about that 7-year Sabbath where there's no sowing or pruning, that the land was going to have a Sabbath rest. And then associated with that Sabbath rest, we also have this year of Jubilee. And how often did it happen? Every 50th year, where liberty was proclaimed and property was returned. Slaves were to be released. Debts were to be released. And everybody does what? Goes home to their property. Goes home to their tribal lands. Yes, that's right. What has Israel commanded regarding charging interest to a poor brother? B. No interest. No interest.
And fear your God.
Yes, that's right. An Israelite who becomes poor and sells himself to you, how shall he be treated? A. As a hired worker and not ruled over with severity. If Israel walks in the Lord's statutes, what does the Lord promise? B. Reign in season peace and His presence among them. And if Israel will not listen, what escalations of discipline are warned? B. Yes. 18, 21, verse 24, verse 28. 7-fold plagues. What hope is offered after confession and humility in exile? C. The Lord will remember His covenant and not reject them. And what is the theological center of the blessing section? B. The Lord walking among His people. Verses 11 through 12. Also will walk among you and be your God. You shall be my people. And the last chapter, vows involving persons dedicated to the Lord were regulated by what? A. Fixed valuations by age and gender. Because this is going to be related to what? All these valuations. That year of Jubilee, right? When everything returns to its owner. If the vower is too poor to pay the valuation, to pay the redemption value, what happens? C. The priest sets the value according to what he can afford. Firstborn animals belong to the Lord, and therefore what? What is the regulation concerning firstborn animals when it comes to vow offerings? Yes, they are not to be vowed or redeemed as a vow. Why? Because all of these things belong to God to begin with. So anything devoted or is harem or under a ban for offering to the Lord is what? Right. B, most holy to the Lord and may not be sold or redeemed. The entirety of chapter 27. Like I said, we covered a lot of technical detail. We covered a lot of things. But I hope everybody did well. And I hope as we went over all these questions, even though it's been over a year that we've been studying this, all of these things just came back pretty quick. But of course, that was the design of this, just to bring these things to our memory. Now of course, where was this law given to the Israelites?
Mount Sinai.
At Mount Sinai. Okay, so as we get into the book of Numbers, now we're going to get into more historic accounts. What is going to happen to the Israelites as they leave Mount Sinai and go on their way to the Promised Land. Certainly, as we talk about Numbers and Deuteronomy. Now, a whole lot more law is going to be given in Deuteronomy because, after all, that's what Deuteronomy means. It literally means second law. And Lord willing, in the future, we'll be talking about all those things. Okay, all right. I appreciate everybody's attention and participation in our study in the book of Leviticus. Next week, as I had mentioned, Brother Will be taking over for me while the Carmack family is out of town. Thank you all.